Hello, everybody, and welcome. TJ Batman here. And this episode is going to be about the truckers and what they're fighting for, and ultimately, I actually stand with everything they're fighting for. Because to be honest, we need to end these mandates. But I got a few different things. I got some audio that I'm going to be playing, some from back on the 1st. But it's from stuff from Trudeau. I also found a video for the full length, the police talking to the truckers. So I got that. That was on the 2nd from when that was done. But I will let everybody know everything that you do here. I will have the links in the description, so you'll be able to check out the stuff yourself. Because I want full transparency for everybody who listens to me. I don't want to be reading from something or playing audio from something and you guys happen to hunt it down. So I don't want to hide anything and show you exactly what I'm looking at and where I got it from. So, but anyways, let's go ahead and start getting into this. So the first bit of audio that you're going to be hearing is when Trudeau was talking. I know a lot of you probably have heard this, but I just snipped a little bit from the main video of what he said on the 1st about the truckers to begin with. So we're going to go ahead and start with that, and I will hopefully try not to stop it in the middle or throughout it, but at the same time, there's a lot to get out at the same time, but we will do our best. But anyways, let's go and get into this first bit. Oh, wait. Hold on. Here we go.
It's not over, and we have to be there for one another. And as we continue to have each other's backs, as we steel ourselves for the challenges ahead, I know you're wondering about what you saw in our capital city this weekend. As my friend Erwin Kotler said on Saturday, freedom of expression, assembly, and association are cornerstones of democracy, but Nazi symbolism, racist imagery, and desecration of war memorials are not.
All right, I just have to say real quick, I've done some research into this stuff, and the one thing I do want to ask is, here's the thing, I've seen enough protests where people have brought Nazi flags, okay? And there's more to that video, the audio, but I just got to say this real quick. But I've seen enough protests where people have gotten close enough image of these Nazi flags that are brought to some of these protests, and the things have creases in them. And they also look brand new. But the problem is the image we got is too far away, so we can't get a good enough close. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people who sympathize with the truckers who might think, in Nazi terms. But I do want enough evidence instead of just going, oh yeah, it's, there's Nazis in the trucker thing. And not just that, but the war memorials that he's talking about. Yes, there were a few people who did dumb stuff and, defaced the war memorials, which is absolutely horrific. It just bugs me when people do that. But the thing is, though, he's not taking into account that when people heard about what happened, especially people that were in the trucker convoy, they literally started scraping that statue and getting all the graffiti and stuff off of it, like actually trying to make it look good again because they didn't like what those people did. But the problem is Trudeau and the media ain't going to bring it up. But anyways, let's get back to this.
It is an insult to memory and truth. Hate can never be the answer. Over the past few days, Canadians were shocked and frankly disgusted by the behavior displayed by some people protesting in our nation's capital. I want to be very clear. We are not intimidated by those who hurl insults and abuse at small business workers and steal food from the homeless.
See, this right here is where Trudeau is just throwing stuff into the wind. It's just throwing stuff into the wind, hopefully that it will hit the people that stand with him in their feelings. And this is the thing that I hate about politicians and corporations and all these people that run things basically is they're using our emotions against us. You know, they're saying like, oh, they're damaging small businesses and stealing from the homeless. The only people I've heard about that have done that in the last few years is BLM and Antifa. Terrorist organization that literally destroyed small businesses here in America, terrorized people by taking over small bits of land and literally saying it's theirs, not protesting, but literally trying to wall off the place and calling it a new name. But, you know, with the trucker convoy, is apparently that's far worse. Even though they're not doing this, they're actually helping each other, and they're actually helping people around them. They actually just recently set up built a little small building so that they could give out food to the homeless. I mean, come on. I hate these politicians.
Give in to those who fly racist flags. We won't cave to those who engage in vandalism or dishonor the memory of our veterans.
So, you heard that, but it just irritates me how, you know, they're treating these truckers who actually work hard for a living. Like, people don't understand. I have a friend, if I've mentioned before, who's been doing trucking for almost 15 years. You know, and to be honest, he should be making a lot more than he does, especially with a lot of the work he does, the time and hours. You know, like, people don't understand how much work truckers actually go through. We have more people fighting right now for people who do food delivery, which I'm sorry, but that is the most easiest job on the planet. You literally go from point A to point B, and a lot of you may get mad at me for that, but I don't really care. Because it's you know, people care more about giving tips to these people who literally just pick up food and drop it off, you know, and then demand a tip from people, you know, not knowing that person's amount of, you know, money they have. You know, it's like, person could be poor, maybe had $100 and wanted to buy a nice dinner to, you know, for them and the family to actually finally have a nice dinner, and that's all they really have. And then this person's just like, well, I demand a tip at this percent. You know, but they can't pay it, and then what happens? They get treated like crap. But anyways, I'm getting off track. But yeah, so, you know, you got people like Trudeau like this, saying this, trying to purposely, you know, get people on his side, well, that are already on his side, you know, to get riled up against this and to be irritated and wanting to tear it down. So it just really irritates me, you know, how this is happening. But anyways, if anybody has opinions on what Trudeau said, let me know in the comments below. I definitely want to be interested in what you have to say. But we're going to get into this next one. This is a bit longer, but I will let you know the audio is not the greatest, mainly because the camera, the phone the person was filming with isn't the greatest. But and then once in a while there's a ding in there. So just let you know so you don't get scared. Once in a while you hear like a ding because a person must have not turned the notifications off when they were recording. But this is basically the police and them talking to the truckers on the 2nd about what they were going to do, how they were going to, you know, remove the trucks. Let me speak properly. Pull the trucks out of there with tow trucks and, you know, basically charge these people and take away their insurance and licenses and stuff. So go ahead and listen to this, and I'll be back in a minute. And I'll probably say something here and there in it, but I'll try not to put in too much so you guys can listen. But anyways, let's get into it.
So hopefully many, if not most of you guys have recognized Mark and Chris over the last couple of days. We are the new Mark and Chris. I'm Greg. This is Roy. Our whole purpose, as hopefully you've noticed, is to communicate on behalf of the RCMP. We're interested in finding a way to sort this whole situation out. And right now, our communication to you is that a decision has been made to open up the highway. So we understand that the reason that you're here is to block it, to keep it shut down. We know that. But the highway has to become open. This is going to happen in the near future. So the plan now is to invite everybody to take the next step. That being, let's get out to the trucks and you can start moving it on your own. That is obviously the best way to sort this problem out. If we're not able to facilitate that, then we'll be going through and removing the trucks on our own, along with the people associated to it. This is the message that we've been given from the people that are in charge, and this is what we are handing off to you. Clearly, the most important thing is that this is done in a safe manner and the most efficient manner. You guys are all here to support your livelihood. We all get that. We're doing a job too. And the worst thing for you guys is to end up having a truck seized or impounded or forfeited to the Crown because of what's happening here today. It's not what we want to have happen. So for the last 4 days, these guys have been working to try to get the same message across to you, to get everybody moving on their own, making the right decision so that this thing happens in the best way for you guys moving forward. I think it's pretty clear nationally that the message that you're trying to get across in one way or another has been given. Everybody knows what's going on here. So now it's just a matter of, what do you do next? How long can you stay?
Forever. We're going to stay.
2 weeks
And we will stay.
Yeah. No, we will stay.
We will stay. We can make this easy too for you guys, is by you guys working with us. Like we're in this together. We all want the same thing. We want this stuff done. The whole mandates, they have to be finished. And we're not here to cause issues. The minute restrictions get taken down, we'll leave.
We get that the message has been delivered, but it hasn't helped. Like, everything's still the same.
That's right. This whole media thing that we're just a little fringe minority, there is more and more happening, just so you guys know. This is not a small fringe minority.
Okay. What's your name, sir?
My name is George.
George?
Yes.
I appreciate you bringing that out.
To say real quick is that, what these truckers are doing is, a great thing. There's recent news that farmers are now joining in. But, you got these police coming in basically demanding, saying that either they do what they say or they're just going to, start removing things on their own, which I think is absolutely absurd. Calling this, anything else but a protest when the truckers are literally being the most politest and nicest people they could possibly be. They're not trying to, pull guns out or body armor or shields or any of that stuff. They're just being like, hey, let's have a conversation. We want you to end these mandates or this protest won't end. So it's just ridiculous how these police are acting, but let's hear the rest of what they have to say.
I'm talking on behalf of the group.
Right.
We've got to have somebody that's willing to speak up and talk. I get that. That's why I'm here today, is to be the one on behalf of the RCMP that's speaking up and talking to you guys.
Right.
What we have been told to impart upon you is that today is the day that we're opening the highway. And the reason that that's happening is because we've been instructed to do so by the people that are in charge of us.
So when will you guys stand up for us?
When you
like,
say
are you guys not tired? Like, do you not have families?
Absolutely.
Do you not have families that this affects?
Yes.
Like, this is the time where we all work together. We need you guys to make a choice as well today to stand with us to make this change. We have so much going on right now. We have so much support right now. You guys can decide to say F you to your superiors and say we're not doing this anymore.
It's happened in other police forces.
It has to.
Okay, I'm
you
gonna
guys.
stop you there.
Well,
That is
I know
not
that.
an option that we have.
Well, you do.
Yes,
you
it is.
do. You have the option.
And this is the thing I hate right here, is this officer saying that we don't have the ability to do this. Yes, they do. They absolutely 100% do. Anybody at this point who isn't standing with the truckers isn't for freedom. And the reason I say that is because, this virus, yes, it does exist, like I've said before. but it's being used and being pushed as fear, trying to get us to be, to do what they want, show passports to be able to go into grocery stores, go into another country, or anything like that. When a lot of these governments haven't cared about people's lives. They're only caring now because they're making a lot of money from this, especially these vaccine companies. Because like I've said before, in the United States, I'm not sure about Canada, but it's probably gone up as well. But in the United States, the suicide rate has actually gone up even more since the pandemic. Now, not with people who are older, which a lot of people will constantly say the suicide rate's actually gone down. Yes, it has, but mostly because the old people aren't dying anymore by their own hands because they died from the virus because they had pre-existing conditions. Yeah, you know what I mean. I have a hard time sometimes speaking. But yeah, so, in the United States, we've had 3 to 4 times more people under 35 kill themselves than have died of COVID. A lot of people always say, oh, I'm full of it, I'm lying, where are my sources? And I'm like, I have sources, but the problem is they're all over the place. Because, you have to, dig and dig to get the information. Because I can go on a search engine and type in death by COVID, and you get a complete list and chart of everywhere in the world, what state, country, all that stuff. So it's, but I type in death by suicide, alcohol, obesity, any other stuff. You have to, dig, which I think is ridiculous, how much harder they make to find all the other information. And then you can't find the exact information you're looking, so they always give you what they want. But anyways, let's get back to what these police were saying.
You have the option.
That's the one choice you do have in Canada now.
Do it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
You have the option.
Do you stand for humanity?
You rather come in and strong arm, no negotiations?
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
More important than everyone else.
That's not an option.
You say you want to take us by force? You can try!
Hey, no. Communication.
I'll be 100% clear. Every single one of us that is a member of the RCMP and that is working together with us today wants the very last thing to be the use of force.
We agree.
We do not want that at all.
Absolutely.
We don't want to seize a single truck.
Amen.
We don't want to put anybody's livelihood in jeopardy. That is the very last resort. But we've been told that this has to come to an end.
Well, tell
and
them it's
we
not
are the
happening.
ones that are going to have.
And this the thing is funny, is these police are saying that, oh, we don't want to take these people's livelihood. We don't want to seize your truck, but you say you're going to. This is the thing I hate with people. If you really don't want to do something, then don't do it. Because if you say you don't want to do something and then you do it, then you did want to do it. Because it's just like how people in life say they're bored. There's nothing for them to do. There's always something for you to do. You're always doing what you want to do. If you're sitting on your butt doing nothing, that's what you actually want to do. Like, people think that, things have to be presented to them, but you have to find them. Like, if you're bored, go do something. Figure something out. Learn a new skill. Go for a walk. Something. Like, if you don't like what you're doing, do something. Because ultimately, you're always doing what you want to do. So, but it just irritates me how these police are just be like, oh, we don't want to do this, but we're going to do it anyway, kind of thing. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Have to do this job, just like you're the ones that have to do the job.
We can't do our job.
We can't do
We
it.
can't do our job because of what the big wigs are saying and doing. We need you to rise up as well. You need to say this is enough.
We've done it for 2 years.
As have we.
Do you not agree it needs to end?
I would very much like to see the pandemic come to an end.
Then help us.
Then help us.
We're asking for help.
Because this is no longer a pandemic, it's a plandemic.
So the
Or what I call it, a fear-demic, which I actually made an awesome design for that. If anybody would like to buy any of the t-shirts, I'll have a link for that below. yeah, I got these awesome Feardemic t-shirts I made. But yeah, it's basically what they're using it as. It's using it as to fear, to keep people, doing what the government wants instead of people being able to be free, work the way they want, make money, so. But anyways.
The message was, it's time to move. You're invited to come and move on your own.
And you're invited to stand with us as well.
And as that takes place,
it won't be taking place.
The other officers that are moving into position now are going to start taking enforcement action.
That's fine.
Okay. So if you are of the mind that you will be placed under arrest and your truck seized, that sort of thing, I guess the next best thing is to go out there and present yourself.
It's a really good face for those convoys. We're here.
Well, it's threatening us. I just like to say, officer, as an officer of the court, I'm extremely disappointed that we came down here in good faith to try to negotiate with law enforcement and with the authorities to try to end this this set of circumstances amicably and in a manner that is in the best interest of all parties. And I think that you guys are just essentially saying no go. And it's a very clear message.
What we're doing here today is presenting a message. That is the message.
Your message. Yeah. But relay the message back that we don't want. We're not done yet.
Absolutely. This is a two-way communication.
But you're not making it a communication. You're saying you are moving now. That is not communication. That's demanding.
Which these truckers are correct. It is demanding. It is not working with them on trying to get this actually done the right way. Because all they're basically doing is the government is saying, if you don't do what we want, then we're just going to shut you down. Well, unless you're on our side and are pushing what we want. Which is absolutely ridiculous. And the way that these police officers are treating these truckers is absolutely ridiculous. They're trying to say that they're trying to be full transparent and actually have a communication with these truckers, but they're not. They're just making demands and telling them exactly what they want, which I think is ridiculous.
So that's not the message that Greg said, okay? Okay, we've listened to you. Greg's tried to tell you the message, so I just want to make this clear. And then we can talk to your legal representative and see if another option becomes available, but we need to deliver this message. And in return, we have heard you, and we will deliver that message back to our side.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. But the communication and direction we've been given is this. You, if you do not wish to be here or do not wish to have your truck impounded and be arrested, you are being given the option to move out to your vehicle and leave. Once we start enforcement action, people will be arrested, trucks will be impounded and seized. That is the message we were told to deliver, so we are delivering it. In return, George, correct, George?
Yep.
And this right here is where the police are trying to take all responsibility off their shoulders by saying, oh, well, we're being told to do this. Yeah, and if you were told to go shoot these truckers, would you do it? If the government said that these people are absolutely terrorists and they're going to destroy the country, would these police officers shoot them if the government told them to? And that's the thing I hate about this. Yes, I do believe, people should listen to what they're told to a degree. But if it goes against the Constitution and basically basic human rights, you have to do something. It's kind of like an old episode of, Next Generation of Star Trek, and how Picard would once in a while go against the rules and the regulations because he knew sometimes you have to do the right thing, especially when it comes to people and their life and trying to save people the best you can, even if it breaks a rule, because you know what? People matter, and they always will.
You will deliver your message that is not what you want to do, that you have no intent to comply.
What we want is communication on a different level. We want communication on a non-demanding, like whoever your authorities are, they need to talk to us. This is unnecessary. You guys, I understand you're doing your job. I'm not at my work. I'm here. I left my work behind to stand for you guys as well.
Yes.
So just come in here and just demand and we're forcing this, that's not the right thing to do. We want to do this together. But let's do this together. Get your authorities to come and sit down with us. We will communicate. We want to communicate. But we want to be heard. We don't want demands. We want to be heard. And when we do that, we can work this out peaceably. We want to. But for you to come and say you're going to arrest everybody and tow everybody out of here, that's not the right thing to do.
So we're giving you the option, again, to clarify. Those that wish to leave now are being given that option. Those that do not wish to leave, don't leave. That is your option. We're giving you choices. Okay?
And that's the thing that's funny is they're not giving choices. They're giving demands. It's like you either leave or we're going to arrest you and take away everything that you have in your livelihood. We're going to take away your CDL. We're going to take away your truck. We're going to penalize you, charge you all this money, throw you in jail, and basically treat you like a criminal. So there really is no option that these truckers are being given. The police are just basically just giving them demands. There is no negotiations of any kind. They're not trying to work with them or anything. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Because like I said, these truckers are very important. Same with farmers. Farmers and truckers literally go through hell and barely make enough. I mean, farmers themselves definitely don't make enough. They make a little less, from what I checked in the United States, the average salary of a farmer in the U.S. is about $26,000 a year. Right now, people in my town working a minimum wage job are making more than these farmers. I have five guys in my area is paying $20 an hour. They're definitely making more than those farmers, and I think that's ridiculous, especially people who are busting their butt every day so that we can put food on our table. Because people forget how important farmers and truckers really are and how much they put their life and their health and everything. You know, because they're not given good choices on the road. When they have to pull in a truck place, you know, to rest for the night or fuel up, you know, they have to deal with fast food. Taco Bell, Subway, all this other stuff. You know, which ultimately isn't really good for you. You know, there's no really good, healthy options. There's no mom and pop restaurant actually cooking, you know, local hamburgers, you know, from a local farm, you know. So, but anyways, let's finish this. A couple minutes left.
That's really good choices. Let your superiors know they need to change the options.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
that. Can you sleep tonight if you would arrest peaceful protesters out here? Nobody's doing anything. Nothing.
That's right.
For the education of our children,
hold on a second. You have a lawyer here that's representing you. It would be now a good time for you.
Now, I want to say I liked what that lady said. If you heard it, if you didn't, I'd go back. But she said, you know, how about you educate our children and recite your oath? Which I think is absolutely awesome because, you know, they do. They need to relook at what they're supposed to be upholding. It's the same thing with doctors. You know, I read a story recently about a 3-year-old and his parents went to 3 different countries to try to get this kid a heart transplant because he needed a new heart. Ultimately, the kid ended up dying because the parents were unvaccinated. So these doctors were willing to let a child die because their parents were unvaccinated. It's just like the gentleman here in the United States who was trying to get a new heart, and they won't give it to him because he's not vaccinated. And again, I think it's absolutely absurd because people shouldn't be punished because they don't want to get, you know, vaccinated. You know, and these doctors uphold, you know, to do no harm. And they're doing harm by denying people. Just like doctors here refusing to see me because I won't wear a mask. It's like, I'm sorry, but I'm tired of wearing that. I walk everywhere, and when I get somewhere, I'm overheated, and I'm trying to cool down. And the best way to do it is for me to be able to breathe through my mouth. And with a mask on, it just makes it worse because I'm just breathing in heat. So, well, not really breathing in the heat, but you know, it's just heat building up on my face. But anyways, let's finish this.
To explain to them what is going wrong.
And what law
As the person who does understand the law and the jeopardy
I've
that
already
they're
given
facing.
these guys legal advice, so you guys don't have to tell me how to do my job. I've already chatted with this group. Yeah, and that's exactly what we should do.
So we're going to meet offline with your lawyer. He can speak to whatever.
And that's the thing I think is funny is these police are basically trying to tell a dude who knows law how to do his job or what he should tell the people. It's like, and this is how little these people are thinking of these truckers. They're just treating them like, you know, like they don't matter. You know, like they're stupid. Like, you know, all they do is know how to drive a truck and they don't know anything. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous because I know so many truckers that are absolutely smart and know a lot about what's going on. You know why? Because a lot of these truckers visit the country. They go all around. They see things. They are able to explore. And they learn about the country and how it works. While most of these people who are complaining what the truckers are doing usually haven't been outside of their own town or city.
Whatever direction you've given him, we will have that conversation. Because we are not empowered to get into a debate with 80 or 100 people here. And it just won't happen.
Oh, there's more than that.
Yeah, so either way, get in touch with your authorities so that we can sit down and have a peaceful conversation. We haven't been heard.
Nope.
That's the only reason we're here. We haven't been heard. When we ask for something, we're totally denied. This is our platform right now, and we're asking to talk. We're asking to talk. So for you to come in here and just demand, that's not the right thing. That's not how this works. Like this, we're part of Canada. We're not a dictatorship. Or are we? Maybe I ought to ask.
George, obviously that's totally the case, but we're 4 days into this now.
That's right, and we still haven't sat down with anyone to communicate.
Lots of time for communication.
There hasn't been.
With who?
There hasn't been. Just let your superiors know that we want to sit down and conversate. That's why we're here. It doesn't need to be Jason Kenney, but just somebody. Like, we want peace. We want to do this the right way, but this is our platform to get attention. This is the third day.
And see right there, if you listen to what that trucker said, they want peace. They want to do this the right way, but these police officers, you know, who are being told what to do by the government and aren't standing up to it, are just literally just making demands, you know, and it's ridiculous. And not just that, but you got these news organizations going out and chatting with people on the streets, trying to paint these truckers as basically worse than what BLM did. And that's the thing that really bugs me, is because BLM literally burnt down cities. Not like the whole city, but burnt down parts of it. You know, destroyed hundreds of businesses, cost this country billions of dollars in damages. You know, hurt small businesses that were already hurting, you know, during this pandemic. And even before, you know, this pandemic, we're still hurting. So it's just absolutely ridiculous how much people have allowed the actual crazies to cause problems, but then go after people like truckers who are actually fighting for something. I'm going to talk a little bit later about it, but, you know, there are trucker convoys starting up all over the world, Australia, Austria, including here in the United States, and I'm going to talk about that here a little bit later on. But, you know, truckers all over the world are starting to rise up, and then the farmers and other people that work hard are starting, you know, to follow suit, because these people work hard, all right? And so many people take these people for granted, and a lot of people who do simple jobs think that they deserve more attention and more money than people who actually bust their ass doing backbreaking work that can kill you. Like, people don't realize how dangerous being a farmer really is, because if you look at the machinery these people are using, most of it will kill you if you don't do it right. So, I pulled some audio from a Twitter video, which I will also have in the description, of them talking to these 3 older ladies about what they think about the trucker convoy. And I absolutely think it's nothing but propaganda. It's just people trying to paint these truckers as, evil, awful people who just want to terrorize and brutalize people, which I think is ridiculous. But listen to this, and like I said, if you would like to watch any of the stuff that I have played audio of, I will have the full video for people who can watch in the description. So let's go ahead and listen to this and let me know what you think. And I'll also let you know what I think.
We're coming from different places, and we met in front of our building, and then this guy with this huge truck came and tooting, and I said, this is awful. Let's go and stop him.
This huge truck and a bunch of littler trucks came up our little street here, honking away, and we just decided we'd had enough, and we thought we'd make a statement.
And we were up high in their cab of the truck, right, looking down on us. We couldn't hear anything they had to say, and they didn't want to hear us. So I wanted to communicate to them that we just did not support what they're doing. So I just did a thumbs down. Every time he honked his horn, I did a thumbs down, and so there were a lot of thumbs down.
It wasn't an easy thing to do, but it was an impromptu thing, and we've had enough. We've had enough. This is an occupation. This isn't a protest.
And I just have to say real quick, the fact that these ladies are saying this is a now I'm forgetting the word. An occupation, not a protest. It's ridiculous. What was an occupation is what Antifa and BLM did here in the United States by taking over small cities. And actually, I think people don't realize is Chaz is still actually running. It's just they don't talk about it on the news anymore. And it's very small, and it's in the park area. The police always keep running them out, but then they come right back. So, it just irritates me how these people are. But wait until you what they have to say here in a second, which just makes them sound even dumber.
All of us are a certain age. We've been fighting a long time for women's rights. We're kind of used to it. But that was scary. I mean, that's a huge truck. They're bullies. It's not easy to stand up to a bully, and you very rarely win anything.
But I figured that
that's a lie. To be honest, I feel like this lady was a bully in her life, and she's saying that because she doesn't want people standing up to bullies. Always stand up to bullies. You can defeat a real bully. And anybody tells you can't defeat them are probably bullies themselves, which they sound like they are. Because the fact that she said that, she fought for women's rights. But apparently truckers' rights don't matter. Humans' rights don't matter. People being forced to get a vaccine, whether they want to or not. In California, right now, they're trying to pass a bill that would force, or that would take away the ability for people to, for young kids to be able to get the vaccine without their parents' permission. And in Austria, they just passed a vaccine law, that forces you to get the vaccine whether you want it or not. And that's the thing that's scary, is the fact that in Austria, not Australia, Austria, is the fact that they did that. Because they're literally saying that your body doesn't belong to you. And that's the other thing, is like the people that do always promote, my body, my choice. And I say, yeah, it is your body, your choice, but it depends on what we're talking about. If somebody wants to inject your body itself with something, you have the right to say no. That's my body, my choice. That's you know, hey, this person wants to go do heroin. Well, that's their body, their choice. If they want to do that, they're affecting them. Now, once they affect somebody else, that's when things change. You know, and that's when people usually get involved. But anyways, let's finish this little bit of ridiculous from these ladies.
They wouldn't come out and assault 3 women of our age, because that wouldn't look good on camera, that's for sure. I am really disappointed in the Ottawa police. There is nobody enforcing the law downtown. There is nobody. They don't have a permit to protest. Nobody knows when they're going. They're vandalizing stuff. They're intimidating people in local businesses. Like, we've had enough.
And this is the thing I think is absolutely funny, is the fact that this lady is trying to be like, oh, they're terrorizing us, they're brutalizing us, God, it's such whininess. But it just, these people just don't get it, and they never will. So, you know, it's just, you know, in the end, things need to change, things need to get better, and if they don't, you know, so. But we're going to do another audio here. I'm going to be doing some reading here in a little bit. I'm going to be talking about the GoFundMe and about how and what they did there. I got a couple articles. I also got an article about the trucker convoy starting here in the United States and where they're going to be starting. Last time I checked, I think it was California, Texas, Maine, and somewhere else. I forget, though. But they're all going to end up converging on Washington, D.C. But I'll be reading that here in a little bit. But right now, we're going to be doing this is from the 3rd of February. And this is Justin Trudeau talking about them asking about him possibly using the military to get the truckers under control and basically trying to control who they are and what they do. And you're going to get his response for it's about a 4-minute long video or video that I got it from. So, but anyways, let's go and play this, and I will chime in once in a while when I feel necessary. But anyways, let's listen.
Turning to the protests in Ottawa, would you ever consider sending the army in to end the protests? Is that an option that you think is viable?
Our focus is on being there to support the police of jurisdiction, support the City of Ottawa and the Government of Ontario. We will, of course, look at any formal requests they sent us. But in our preoccupation remains being there for the citizens of Ottawa, the neighborhoods that have been significantly disrupted by these protests and by these protesters, people going to school, people going to work, small business owners being harassed for wearing masks, being faced with hateful rhetoric.
I just have to say real quick, people who wear masks aren't really getting harassed. Yes, there's a few people who do, but ultimately it's the people who don't wear masks who are getting the shit. But Justin Trudeau doesn't care about that. He just wants to push this fear-mongering garbage to push his agenda, to make people think that he's actually helping. Because here's the thing, Justin Trudeau's the one who destroyed these small businesses, who made people's livelihood in school and stuff worse, not these truckers. And I'm sorry, but if people are a little inconvenienced over truckers fighting for their rights and their freedoms, that's on them. Because your rights and your freedoms matter. You have the right to be able to walk about any country and be able to be free. You know, there's a lot of work to do in a lot of other countries, but let's hope we get there. But anyways, let's finish more of these.
As a federal government, the RCMP has been there to provide support to the police of jurisdiction, the Ottawa police. And of course, we will be there to respond to any formal requests from either the city or the province.
I'm left unclear in understanding whether you think the military, though, is an option. Are you saying that you would be, or you are entertaining, or could be the next Prime Minister Trudeau to deploy the military within Canada for such a demonstration?
There were questions a couple of years ago around military when it came to other protests that were blocking critical infrastructures. My answer then is consistent with my answer now, that one has to be very, very cautious before deploying military in situations engaging Canadians. It is not something that anyone should enter in lightly. But as of now, there have been no requests, and that is not in the cards right now.
And I just have to say real quick, and no reason why he's saying that is because if he sends the military in, it's going to absolutely destroy him. I'm not saying the military is going to destroy him, but him sending the military is going to destroy Justin Trudeau, because it's going to absolutely make people literally then rise up. Because people fighting for actual freedom, not socialist, communist, dictatorship, and other crazy stuff like that. You know, these people are fighting for real freedom. They're not fighting for a small group of people. They're fighting for everybody. Okay? But Justin Trudeau doesn't care about that. It just irritates me so much. Oh.
Protest groups have called for a sit down with your government. They've called for negotiations. They've obviously called for an end to mandates. Is there any scenario in which you'd be willing to negotiate with these protesters to have them leave?
We will remain steadfast to the mandate given to parliamentarians 6 months ago in the last election. You will remember that there were very, very clear differences of opinion around mandatory vaccination, around vaccine mandates put forward in that election, and they were heavily debated and indeed protested by some of the main people who are same people who are protesting right now in Ottawa. And the commitment that we made as a government, if we got reelected, is we would stand by science. We would continue.
Yes, because by standing with science, 3-year-olds die and not get a heart transplant because their parents are unvaccinated. Or the fact that people keep saying it's for science, but in the United States, like I said before, suicide rate is the highest it's ever been with the youth, because the youth are killing themselves rather than dying of COVID. But people don't care about that. And not just that, but I've had conversations with tons of people who have lost people to suicide and how they were considered a COVID death just because they had COVID in their system. So I'm tired of them utilizing this fear and not caring about their overall picture of what's happening to people. Because like I said, he said all this so he could get reelected. He's literally saying it to us, that he did all this to get reelected, basically.
To do what it takes to protect people through this pandemic. Vaccinated, that federal public servants be fully vaccinated, move forward with vaccine mandates in federally regulated areas. That is the promise we made to Canadians. That is the decision Canadians took in the last election by voting for parties that were supporting those mandates. So having a group of people who disagree with the outcome of an election, who want to go a different way and bring in an alternative government, is a non-starter in a responsible democracy. That is why we are continuing to fulfill the responsibility.
And if Justin Trudeau actually lived by a true democracy, he'd be listening to the truckers and everybody else that have been demanding that this is absolutely ridiculous, which is definitely over 50%. It's only a small percentage of people who are actually for these mandates, these masks, and forcing people to get vaccinated. because most people literally do not care because they look at it like this. A smart person will say, I got vaccinated because I want to protect myself. If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's you. That's what a smart person would say. A dumb person would say, you need to get vaccinated. Yes, you can still get COVID, and yes, you can still spread it, but it will be less severe. Then why am I going to get it anyway? I know tons of people who have gotten COVID and aren't vaccinated and are fine and had very basic symptoms.
That the Canadians gave us in this last election, and quite frankly, continue to stand by the almost 90% of truckers who are vaccinated, stand by the millions upon millions of Canadians who just want to get their lives back and who know that getting back to the things we love requires vaccinations.
Yep, because if you want your life back, you have to get vaccinated. That's your only choice at this point by these governments. And I love how he goes, 90% of truckers have been vaccinated. Yeah, and a lot of these truckers that are vaccinated are in this protest, are actually there with their trucks, because this isn't about the vaccine or anything. This is about getting rid of mandates, it is about the vaccine, but it's about stopping these mandates, forcing people to get vaccinated, which again, nobody should be forced to be vaccinated. I mean, people should be given an option. And not just that, but it's like, this is a different vaccine than ones in the past, like for malaria, smallpox, and all that stuff. You know, those you get once, and that's it. This, they're wanting you to almost get annually. It's because these corporations are making bank off of this vaccine. So, but, yeah, it's just ridiculous. Let's see here. All right, so this I pulled from a much longer video. There's probably more stuff in the video that I don't have in here. But this is the police chief of Ottawa talking about what he's planning on doing with these truckers and what he thinks of it, basically. And also to let you guys know, this is the same police chief who literally said that any police officer who helps out the truckers by giving food or water or helping in any way will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and basically have their entire world turned upside down, basically. Basically saying that, you know, if you stand for your rights and your freedoms, we're going to punish you. And that, I'm sorry, is not a real officer. Any police chief who threatens his officers by saying he's going to prosecute them for standing or helping out the protesters is absolutely ridiculous. But anyways, let's go and play this, and I'll chime in once in a while.
Ottawa residents are frustrated and they are angry, and they have every right to be. Their lives continue to be severely impacted by unlawful and unsafe events on the city streets, in the downtown core, and in the surrounding neighborhoods. This is unacceptable. This morning, we have begun implementing a new surge and contain strategy in our downtown core, based on lessons learned over the last operating cycle of the demonstrations and new intelligence gathered literally in the last 24 hours. There are 3 parts to this new strategy. Number 1, we're deploying a surge of police officers in the downtown and the immediate neighborhoods. There will be approximately 150 additional officers dedicated to only patrolling and addressing unlawful, threatening conduct in the most impacted neighborhoods, specifically Centertown, Lower Town, and the Byward Market.
And I love how he says threatening and all that stuff. Like these truckers have actually threatened anybody. Oh my goodness, they're honking. I'm so terrified. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just, they're honking. I'm going to die. They're threatening me. God, people are fucking retarded. Oh my God. But I know you guys are probably all frustrated by this as much as I am and are sick and tired of these whiny little bitches just, crying over nothing. And I love how he's like the citizens of Ottawa or Ontario or no, Ottawa are tired of this. It's like, no, a small percentage are, because they think if we just get our vaccines, wear a mask, we'll get through this, and those people are dumb. But yeah, I don't like the way this police chief is categorizing this.
This surge will include working with our city and NCR official partners to prevent unlawful and unsafe use of public spaces by demonstrators. These officers and our partners will be focused on illegal activity associated with the demonstrators. This surge will deliver a clear message to the demonstrators: the lawlessness must end. The focus of these officers will be on acts of mischief, hate, harassment, intimidation, and other threatening behaviors. The second part of the strategy will be an expansion of the hardening of the perimeter in the demonstration red zone, the immediate area of Wellington Street in front of the Parliament buildings. We will be further isolating and containing the demonstration in that red zone. The Ottawa Police Service, the City of Ottawa, and our partners will be utilizing concrete barriers, heavy equipment barricades to create no-access roadways throughout the downtown core.
Basically cutting off all the other people to protest as well, trying to basically prevent people to expressing their rights as a human in the country they're in. I mean, Canada's not as prevalent when it comes to rights as much as we have here in the United States, but they ultimately still have almost the same rights. And the fact that these police officers are trying to cut people off, but hey, you never want to do that to a BLM protest. Don't cut them off, just let them go crazy. Let them burn stuff down. Let them destroy people's lives. And also arrest them, but release them the next day and don't even prosecute them. It's ridiculous.
This includes considerations around the closing of bridges, highway off-ramps, and other roadways. Incoming protester vehicles today and throughout the weekend will be directed to designated parking zones outside of the downtown core. Illegal parking by demonstrators will result in bylaw enforcement, removal, and impound if necessary. Again, interprovincial bridges, highway off-ramps, and roads will be closed as needed as we manage and monitor the influx of vehicles and the egress of vehicles from the core.
And again, trying to prevent people from protesting. Because, again, a lot of these people running the police and in the police right now, not all of them. Okay, let's get that correct. I'm not blaming all the police, but I am blaming the ones who support this and who are pushing it and who aren't standing up against this. Because everybody needs to stand up against this. And this police chief is definitely out of line in how he's treating these people and what he's calling them.
The third part of the strategy: enhanced intelligence and investigation operations. We now have secured fully national, provincial, and local intelligence agencies. We have increased ability to identify and target protesters and supporters of protesters who are funding and enabling unlawful and harmful activity by the protesters themselves.
So basically, whatever they consider unlawful and bad, they can basically go after people for donating food. So basically, if I was there and I donated food and they consider me unlawful, then they would punish the truckers as well, and I think that's ridiculous. It just, I don't like what they're doing.
Investigative evidence gathering teams are collecting financial, digital, vehicle registration, driver identification, insurance status, and other related evidence that will be used in prosecutions. Every unlawful act, including traffic and insurance violations, will be fully pursued, regardless of the origin, at any time in the future. The primary focus of each of these measures will be on the unlawful behavior connected to the ongoing demonstrations. This includes parallel and counter demonstrations. We strongly urge all demonstrators and those engaging with the demonstrators to act lawfully, peacefully, and respectfully.
And that's what the truckers have been doing since they started this. But this police chief doesn't care. He just wants to God, I can't speak anymore. He just wants to promote fear and division. That's it. He doesn't want to bring people together. These truckers are literally putting their CDLs on the line, putting their entire lives on the line to not just protect them, but also to protect all of us, me, you, and everybody else, and our rights and our ability to be able to live in this country or Canada or any other country that has rights and freedoms, to be able to keep having them. So this is ridiculous, though.
The hatred, the violence, the illegal acts that Ottawa residences and businesses have endured over the last week is unacceptable in any circumstance. The Ottawa Police Service and the City of Ottawa are bringing significantly greater resources to restore order, hold offenders to account, and protect our neighborhoods. The current demonstration in the Parliamentary Precinct Red Zone remains unresolved despite significant successes in reducing the number of trucks and demonstrators while preventing riots, injuries, or deaths. We take no solace in these operational successes to date. Our goal is to end the demonstration.
Yep, exactly. You want to end something that is fighting for rights of everybody because the police don't like it, the government doesn't like it, so let's stop it. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
The demonstrators in the Red Zone area remain highly organized, well-funded, extremely committed to resisting all attempts to end the demonstration safely. This remains, as it was from the beginning, an increasingly volatile and increasingly dangerous demonstration. The Ottawa Police Service continues to work with the national security agencies, the RCMP, the OPP, and other municipal police agencies. Over the last 48 hours, we've also been able to engage all three levels of government to effect a safe, timely, and lawful end to this unlawful and unacceptably dangerous demonstration.
It is lawful, you asshole. No, but these government officials and these police chiefs and shit, want to be like, it's unlawful. How dare they do something that we don't like? We want them to just stay in their home, shut the fuck up, and do what they're told. Get their vaccine, wear their mask, because that's the only way to get through this pandemic. It's fucking annoying, dude. Like, these people do not fucking care about anyone but themselves. And this is where I'm getting fucking pissed. It just really fucking irritates me how much this police chief and these fucking government officials are just putting their own head up their own fucking ass instead of looking at what the people who live in these countries want. Because they don't care about what the majority wants, only the fucking minority. And I'm sorry. But like Spock said in Star Trek, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Sorry.
Public safety remains paramount, as does our commitment to work with all levels of government and all parts of civil society to bring this demonstration to an end. In closing, I want to reiterate what Ottawa residents have endured, what Ottawa businesses have endured, what our own service members and our partners have endured over the last week is unacceptable. and we have learned from our experience. We have gathered new evidence. We have secured new allies, and we're implementing new measures to bring this demonstration to an end.
Yep, because ultimately he does not care. He wants people to do what they're told, shut the fuck up, and yeah, that's basically it. And, but anyways, let me know what you guys think about what he said in the comments. I'm definitely curious what you have to say. But yeah, it is just absolutely ridiculous how they're treating these truckers, and they're basically calling them these names and stuff, saying it's unlawful, that we need to stop these people because they're doing something bad. It's like, no, they're not. So, but anyways, I have a thing here about looks like it was recently updated 2 minutes ago, so it's not. Well, I'll read the part from yesterday, and then I'll read the updated part. But this is about the GoFundMe and about what they removed and about everything that would happen around that. So basically, it says GoFundMe statement on the Freedom Convoy 2022 fundraiser. GoFundMe supports peaceful protests, and we believe that was the intention of the Freedom Convoy 2020 fundraiser when it was first created. We now have evidence from law enforcement that the previously peaceful demonstration has become an occupation, with police reports of violence and other unlawful activity. Coming from an organization who literally let BLM and Antifa get funded through their organization, even though they were burning down cities, killing innocent young black men, and basically terrorizing people. But hey, a few people acting out, because I bet you anything they're not part of the fucking trucker protest, are being pushed to the first extent, even though they were fucking very, 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 very fucking small minority. And the majority of people cleaned up anything that those people did. But, GoFundMe is a fucking piece of shit. But anyways, it says, to ensure GoFundMe remains a trusted platform, we work with local authorities to ensure we have a detailed, factual understanding of events taking place on the ground. Following a review of relevant facts and multiple decisions with local law enforcement and city officials, this fundraiser is now in violation of our terms and service. Term 8, which prohibits the promotion of violence and harassment and has been removed from the platform. Blah, fuckity, blah, you fucking douchebags. Organizers provided a clear distribution plan for the initial $1 million that was released earlier this week, and confirmed funds would be used only for participants who traveled to Ottawa to participate in the peaceful protests. Given how the situation has evolved, no further funds will be directly distributed to the Freedom Convoy organizers. We will work with organizers to send all remaining funds to credible, established charities. Just it's not their fucking money. They don't. GoFundMe does not have the right to take somebody else's money to give it to somebody else. That's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Chosen by the Freedom Convoy 2020 organizers and verified by GoFundMe. Yeah, you know what I would do? Tell everybody to get their fucking money back. Don't fucking give it to another organization unless you fucking give it yourself. But apparently there was an update today, about 2 minutes ago, about the GoFundMe, and it says, the update we issued earlier below enabled all donors to get a refund and outlined a plan to distribute remaining funds to verified charities selected by the Freedom Convoy organizers. However, due to donor feedback, we are simplifying the process. We will automatically refund all contributions directly. Donors do not need to submit a request. You can expect to see a refund in 7 to 10 business days, and that's where it is. I bet you anything they had fucking thousands of people contacting them saying, I want my money back. I don't want you giving my money to some other charity. I'm giving it to these people. And I bet you anything they got so many emails, they were just like, screw it, we'll just refund the entire thing back to everybody. because ultimately GoFundMe's not going to win. And I'm going to tell you right now, anybody listening to this, never use GoFundMe. Anybody you know, tell them not to use it. It's time to let these organizations fall. Any organization who is going to fight back against freedom, against people speaking their minds. The same thing goes for Facebook. The fact that they removed the U.S. version of the trucker convoy just so that they can, shut them down and, not let it form, it's not going to stop them. So, and that's the thing I think is actually ridiculous, is these organizations are basically trying to control people, and we have to fight back. We can't let them win. So, but yeah, so I'm going to talk here about this article here about the U.S. truckers and about what they're planning on doing. And let's see. Yeah, this is quite a long one, but I think this is the right one. I had a lot of this stuff planned ahead of time, but things change a little bit. No, I think that was the wrong one. Yeah, I'm gonna read. Where is it? This one. All right, so from the Hill. U.S. trucker convoy coming. Joe Biden will ignore protest at his peril. Stupid ads, go away. It says, as hard as it is to imagine, President Biden's political fortunes are about to get worse. The massive trucker convoy that crossed Canada to protest against the country's new vaccine mandates will almost certainly be replicated in the U.S. and will bring it with a huge headaches for the Biden White House. Biden pretends to be the champion of the little guy. He claims to support blue-collar workers. Truckers are exactly the kind of folks Biden is meant to embrace, but he will not do that. The drivers protesting the vaccine mandates have already been portrayed by the liberal media as right-wing zealots and science deniers, which is only one notch above climate deniers. A Facebook group organizing the U.S. convoy that had amassed 130,000 members been tossed off the media platform, amid allegations that the movement was being promoted by right-wing extremists, which the organizer denies. Which I actually watched the video, and the guy said that, they're accusing them of being QAnon. And it's like, yeah, there may have been a few people in the comments that, mentioned QAnon, but it's like, again, it's like he said, with the moderators they had, there's only so much they can do, especially when they had over 130,000 members. It's like, come on, people. It says, Biden will not dare stand up for the truckers, and yet if he dismisses them as a small fringe minority, as Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau recently did with the Freedom Convoy, drivers up north, they could get mad. They could, if pushed, call for the sick out of Americans' vital truckers. Whatever supply chain problems we have had would pale before the catastrophic. I don't know. Catastrophe that could unfold if tens of thousands of drivers simply walked off the job for a day or two. Imagine what would happen to transportation costs and inflation. The convoy protests would come at an awkward time. The public has had it with the government's draconian and largely ineffective measures to combat COVID-19. Polling shows people are ready to move on. They are emboldened by a growing body of evidence indicated that the restrictions and rules promulgated by the government under both President Trump and Biden were a mistake. A new study from Johns Hopkins University shows that shutting down the country reduced COVID mortality by only 0.2%. only causing devastating effects on the economy and drastic social ills. Further, the research shows that lockdowns are ill-founded and should be rejected as a pandemic policy instrument. People are also tired of being told not to question the authorities. They are fed up with officials who say immodestly that they represent science, even as many of their pronouncements turn out to be worthless. The recent flap over Joe Rogan's interview with cardiologist Dr. Peter McCullough, who is critical of the vaccines and the approach of the government has taken. It's ridiculous. Why should we not question the science around COVID treatments and approaches? And essentially, when the costs to society and the economy have been desperately high, it is a sign of weakness that the authorities are afraid of a debate. Truckers are driven to protest by new mandates from the North American government that anyone driving a rig across the U.S.-Canadian border must be vaccinated or quarantined as a condition of being allowed to enter either country. Just like that, truck drivers went from being essential workers, highly lauded for risking their personal health to deliver goods to lockdown communities, to being officially classified as non-essential functionaries. They feel jilted by the ungrateful populace. But the truckers' protests have become a rally point for millions of irate about what many view as COVID-inspired overreach by autocratic governments. Thousands turned out to cheer the mile-long convoy across Canada, even though the government of Nova Scotia literally making the protesters' case outlawed people from lining the highways and imposed stiff fines on those who disobeyed, which I think is ridiculous, and I don't like the fact that governments are trying to prevent people from protesting or even supporting the protesters. Trudeau went into hiding when the convoy reached Ottawa, the nation's capital. Trudeau himself, no favors, condemning the large assembly by refusing to meet with them. Despite his apparent concern, there was in a large crowd not a single arrest over the past weekend. There were no actions of violence. The liberal media made a big fuss over a supposed desecration. I can't speak anymore. Sorry, everybody. Damage of the monument. Someone peed on it, apparently, and because someone spotted a Confederate flag. To the... God, I wish these people stop using such big words. With my learning disability, it's hard. Do the best I can. To the chagrin of the left, it was, to use a once popular description, a largely peaceful protest. This sort of scene will likely be replicated in coming weeks in Washington, D.C. Biden, who constantly reminds voters of his middle-class roots, will face the same issues as Trudeau. Will he demonize the truckers? Will he listen to their grievances? Or will he scurry back to Delaware and hope they all go away? The trucker rally will draw support from people who are angry that governments have shown indifference to the plight of restaurateurs, hairdressers, and countless other small business owners whose livelihoods were callously destroyed by the officially bureaucrats. People who are angry that their children have lost immeasurable learning because schools were closed and have suffered emotional impairment as they wear pointless masks day in and day out. They are angry at the stupidity of it all. Biden misled the public when he promised he had a plan to shut down the virus. Now he has a choice: rebuff the truckers or hear their plea. Stick to his failing policies or change course and admit mistakes have been made and declare the vaccines important and helpful, but not the only answer. All right. Admit that we need to accept the virus as part of our lives, that we can move forward, and that once one size does not fit all. Can Biden reboot? We shall see. So there was that. And I think I'm also read this one as well, because it goes a little more in depth about the trucker in the U.S. So we'll go ahead and start this. This is an article here by Hellion Scope. Hellion Scope? I don't know. I'm not sure if I said that right. But it says American trucker convoy to D.C. forming in California. An American trucker convoy to Washington, D.C. is forming right now. The time and date are not set, but each one of you must play a role. First, financial donations will be needed. Second, non-perishable food, water, and products need to be donated to sustain the truckers staying put outside of D.C. The Canadian trucker convoy is scaring the global elitists worldwide. Their time is coming to an end. It will take masculine, freedom-loving men with guts to rise up for their freedom now. I love that line, and it's amazing. It will take masculine, freedom-loving men to get with guts to rise up for their freedom now. I love that line. But anyway, there is a reason why leftists promote feminism. If one destroys men, they can take over a nation from within. What is happening is how many men have been red-pilled. Men like truckers are keeping nations alive. If trucks don't move, then we all be starving in 3 days. The grocery store shelves will be bare. There's a word that the White House and Deep State are running scared now. There is word that the White House and Deep State are running scared now. However, we live in a dangerous times because cornered rats will do more false flag attacks, start World War III nuke war with Christian Russia, and destroy the economy. It is true how an American trucker convoy is forming, and it is starting in California. Let's see here. Hot on the heels of the convoy of Canadian truckers, multiple efforts to stage a similar convoy in the U.S. have emerged. Brian Brass, a truck driver of Ohio, is one of the core organizers of the group, planning the convoy to D.C. 2022. Brass said the organizers are finalizing their plans and do not have a specific date or routes they are prepared to disclose as a publication time. However, they did put a hard deadline of March 1st. If it doesn't happen before then, it will happen March 1st, he told Landline. Brass said his group is not the only one organizing convoys. However, he said most of the groups are working together for the most part. There are multiple groups trying to make this happen, and we're working together for the most part, Brass said. We've encouraged them all to come to the table. If our starts first, yeah, I don't know, it was written weird. If our starts first, we hope they will join. If they start first, we'll jump in on theirs, Brass said. This is bigger than any one person, company, or organization. Brass said the convoy is organizing to protest vaccination mandates. He stressed it is not an anti-vaccination movement, but rather about human and constitutional rights, which is true. It's what it's all about. This isn't about the trucking mandates. There's so much more in play. We are just truck drivers standing up for our human rights as American, and as Americans, it's about our constitutional rights, he said. It's about human beings deciding what gets interjected into them, We're not about shaming people who aren't vaccinated or shame those who are. It's about choice. The vaccine mandates in the private sector and at the low government levels are hindering access to healthcare, education, and law enforcement, to name a few basic needs, according to Brass. There are good people, good teachers, good nurses, good police officers losing their jobs all over these mandates, he said. That Brass contends threatens access to basic service and the quality of lives of truckers, families left at home while they are on the road. Brass stresses that this is not a partisan issue and that those supporting the convoy are diverse politically, racially, and gender. The Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association is in opposition to vaccination mandates, but rather supports personal choice on vaccination, which is how it should be. And while the association supports lawful protests, it is prohibited from calling for strikes because of antitrust laws. He also stressing the need for all participants to conduct themselves peacefully and lawfully. We're coming together as humans, he said. The bottom line is that the attendees of this convoy/protest are expected to carry themselves professionally and peacefully. We're not there to cause mayhem or trouble. This is a peaceful convoy across the nation to restore constitutional rights. The convoy to DC 2022 organizers are planning to start the convoy from multiple locations in California. There will be another convoy originating in Texas, Florida, and Maine, to name a few. Brass said all convoys will ultimately converge in Washington, D.C. Announcement of the convoy routes dates become problematic on February 1st when Facebook removed the group's page from the service. According to the statements issued to Fox and News by Facebook, the group had violated multiple community standards related to QAnon. Brass patently denies those denies those violations, but concedes Facebook's rights to remove groups and individuals from its service. Which, I'm sorry, I have to disagree with them on that. Unless the people are actually calling for harm or violence, or companies like Facebook should not have the right to just remove people. And this is the thing a lot of these protesters are falling for. It's like, yes, I'm all for peaceful and lawful. But the problem is we're saying, oh, well, that company does have a right to, just remove people just because they said something they don't like. No. People have the right to speak. And I have to disagree with them on that one point. It's just, no. Facebook should not and does not have the right to remove people for trying to promote. I mean, come on. Facebook allowed Antifa and BLM to run groups on their service, which were literally killing people and destroying cities and burning businesses down and stuff. I mean, come on. This is absolutely absurd. And the last bit says here, you can't want freedom from mandates and then stand against Facebook for removing stuff when that's well within their rights, he said, but we will keep getting the word out. No, it's not within their right. I'm sorry. Like I said, I disagree with him on that. Facebook does not have the right to remove your stuff if you are trying to protest. And I'm sorry, but him saying that you can't want freedom from mandates and then stand against Facebook for removing your stuff. No, you can. You can, and I will. Freedom and rights matter no matter where they're at. If an organization like Facebook wants to be in the United States, then they should have to abide by our Constitution and our laws. I don't like the fact that just because they're online, they have the ability to just say screw people and what they think. No. I'm sorry. I will always disagree with people on that. Facebook does not have the right to remove your stuff if they're going to allow evil organizations and groups and people to be on their platform and spew hateful garbage and not do anything about it. Or even do hateful garbage about it. Just like the fact that Twitter banned Trump from saying some mean tweets, but yet you've got leaders of literal organizations that want to wipe out Jews and other stuff, and literally saying the most awful stuff in the world and how they want to wipe out groups and stuff, but they're still allowed on Twitter. I'm sorry, like I said, I disagree with Brass on this. No, Facebook does not have the right to remove your stuff. Because again, they're in our country. They should have to abide by our Constitution. Freedom of speech. Freedom of assembly. And the fact that these people were trying to come together to communicate and Facebook took that away, no, that is not right. I'm sorry. Some people may disagree with me on that, but it's just what I think. So, but ultimately, what these truckers are doing is definitely needed, and I support it 100%. And I hope that what they do is ultimately going to fix this, because we need to get rid of these mandates. I myself, my business is hurting. My 3D printing, my T-shirts and stuff. So, but if anybody is interested in any of that stuff, I will have links for those in the description, so you can pop on over and check out my stuff. I got lots of cool stuff that I've designed in 3D printing, from like Power Ranger coins. I got stuff I'm working for light switch covers, and I got a bunch of other cool stuff that I designed. So check those on out. Links will be, like I said, being below. But thank you again, everybody who's listened so far, and thank you for everybody who follows along. I hope to do more, and for anybody listening to this far, if you're interested in coming on and having conversations with me about stuff, or if you are a trucker yourself, I would definitely love to have a conversation with you and know more about what's going on and about how everything's going down, exactly what you're doing. So, but anyways, thank you again for everybody who has listened. I hope you all enjoyed the information that I gave. I tried to get a bunch of stuff together before I did this radio bit. So, but again, thank you everybody again for listening. I will see everybody next time. And again, DJ Batman out. Oh, and before I go, I'm going to go ahead and play some outgoing music you can listen to. It is Cold World by Taron Ector. So, anyways, everyone, peace. I will see you next time. DJ Batman, out.
Just looking through the skyline to the diamonds in her eyes. Well, this lonely world can be so cruel, but I'm happy just to share it with you. May all of our dreams come true, for I'm honored to be there for you. Dream worlds, searching for the light. Though many far before us, escaping trouble.